what we have here now is the way the laws read. You cannot discriminate against someone for sleeping or pitching a tent unless you have a shelter. You have to have a shelter in order for you to enforce your anti-camping ordinances. We in Laguna Beach built that shelter, and now we can enforce to some degree our anti-camping ordinances. Although the minute you try to enforce anything, then you have an issue. What you have here is a situation.
And you mentioned that drug and alcohol misdemeanors now. You enforce those laws and you immediately get a ticket from the ACLU.
Well, yeah, let me explain how, because this is also important, because what we're up against is not just local stuff, we're up against federal and state. So in the state of California, we the voters voted in something called Prop 47, which basically means that you can do drugs, you don't have to, you can steal up to $950 in the state and not be arrested. So, and you can also do hard drugs without getting arrested.
Can I add something? 3 grams of heroin is considered personal use, and that's 30 uses, and that is a damn misdemeanor. Just so everyone is clear.
And to that point, that's just a ticket, so you're not going to get arrested.
Yeah.
So before, where you had the opportunity to arrest someone who was doing meth or heroin, maybe put them in jail for 30, 60, 90 days and have the possibility that they might come out okay. Now you can't arrest them anymore. You give them a ticket, that ticket goes nowhere. There isn't a DA that's going to enforce a drug ticket. They have better things to do than worry about someone who's doing recreational drugs. So you can also steal up to $950 without getting arrested. So now you have an addict who moves to California. They're allowed to possess crystal meth, heroin, cocaine, opioids, which in any other state is a felony, but not here. You can also walk into a supermarket, steal, do whatever you want. If you steal under $950, you don't get arrested, you simply get a ticket. So we're bringing these people in from everywhere. They're coming in, they can do drugs, they can steal up to $950, and now you have this other situation where we're actually housing them. And a while back, the federal government declared that addiction is a disease. So therefore, you can't discriminate against someone who has a disease. Just like you can't discriminate against someone who has cancer, you can't discriminate against a meth addict or a drug addict because they have a disease. Therefore, a place like this, where the Friendship Shelter used to be a place where you went to, and if you say you were a house painter and you fell off a ladder and you couldn't work for a few months, or you were a mom who was in an abusive relationship, you needed a place to stay, they facilitated that. They helped you. They said, here's a place to live. What we're asking you is to not do drugs and get a job, and we'll help you. We'll do whatever it takes to put you back on your feet again. That changed because now they can get federal funds from HUD, and those funds come with, okay, we will give you that money forever. Permanent supportive housing means just that. So if they get an investor to buy this building, and then the government, our taxpayer dollars, get to pay for that person to live for the rest of their lives. So now you have these homeless groups that are amassing real estate as a result of all of this. Because as far as the bank's concerned, as far as the investors are concerned, their money's guaranteed by our taxpayer dollars. So it's a real mess, and you can't discriminate against it, just like you can't discriminate against the sober living houses.
So basically, they're discriminating against the residents of that and kicking them out of their homes where they were working clean renters.
Yes.
They're kind of discriminating against them.
Yes, but we're no longer,
all the tax.
we don't have the rights that a homeless person has or a meth addict has.
Now there's a licensed daycare facility right next to the house. How can they put something like this right there?
You can't legally argue that they're going to be a problem. These people are going to be just fine. They're just like anyone else, and they have rights just like you do.
So there's nothing you can do, basically.
There's nothing you can do. The only thing you can do is what you're doing tonight, which is to show up and just say, I don't want to deal with this, and to go to and make sure you vote for people, call your council people, because I couldn't take it anymore. I was watching my town just going down the drain. We had meth addicts roaming. We lost Main Beach. We lost our canyon. And I kept talking to people that were running. It's like, do you plan on doing anything about this? Like, no way, I'm not going up against the Friendship Shelter. These are the richest, the most progressive people in our community. They're the wealthiest. These are the people that drive around the Range Rovers and the Porsches. They're like, you better not go up against the Friendship Shelter. And I just said, you know what, I don't care whether I win or not. I'm just gonna go ahead and run anyway. I'm an art dealer, and I live in an apartment with my wife. We pay $18.50 a month. We're the next people to get shot out of our place. So when you look at this, I was told you will never win, and I won. I have a high school education. I came to Laguna Beach. I was a waiter. When I was living in San Clemente, I worked at Ernesto's until the water took it out to sea. I used to hang out with the Reynolds boys from Reynolds Termite. So I wasn't a guy that was supposed to win a council seat. I was up against lawyers. I was up against people who understood politics, and I just ran and I spoke my mind, just like I'm doing right now. I spoke to my residents. I said, there are federal and state things that we can't do anything about, but we are residents, and we can stand up and just say, look, we don't appreciate what you're doing here. I talked to a guy just a few minutes ago. He said he's paying $1,025 a month. Where is he ever going to get an apartment? We're housing people. They want us to house people who are meth addicts, and yet our elders in Laguna Beach can't afford to live there anymore. We've got millennials coming back from college. They can't afford to live in the town they grew up in. How many of us are going to get displaced while these people go out and buy these buildings and then start to move people out of these buildings? It's a shame. It's an absolute shame. I read about this today. Lucky for you guys, somebody posted on Facebook, where I think that's you, or whoever it is. I was on Facebook minding my own business this morning, and I saw this happening, and I thought, oh God, I've got so much. I just want to go home tonight. My wife and I got in our car and we drove over here because, as you said, somebody here is slick as snot, and she can spin anything. And before you know it, you're that uncompassionate monster like me that is somehow or another hurting the vulnerable. Never mind the guy who's going to lose his apartment and never see San Clemente again. But we've got to help the vulnerable.
The vulnerable, this one that lives across the street.
Yeah, yes. You want to tell me about what vulnerable is?
Yeah.
I'm happy to say, okay, fine. Is this transitional housing? So what you're saying is you're going to displace these people, but in the meantime, you're going to bring in a mom, you're going to bring in a construction worker, you're going to bring in someone who lost their job and needs a place to live, and you're telling them no drugs, no alcohol, get a job, we'll give you a place to live, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 30 days, however long. But what's happening here is now those people can't get those benefits anymore because they're focused on the chronically homeless to get the federal HUD funds, which is our taxpayer dollars.
From here,
Yeah.
from everywhere else.
Trust me.
That's what makes me
They're
mad.
coming-
Dwayne Nichols, that liar down at who's taken over North Beach with his trike, who's disabled, who managed to ride his damn trike from Arizona to here, who has blood clots, arthritis, you name it, riding his bike when the lights go down. He's going to be living here,
Yeah.
dealing drugs,
Yeah.
dealing
And
drugs.
that's another thing. Speaking
with
of
his,
which,
with his
you
less than
can't
honorable
put any
discharge.
restrictions on these people.
There's no restrictions.
No restrictions.
And they don't come from treatment.
No.
It's not like they come from a long-term treatment.
No.
Like that would be
There's no
a little
treatment.
bit better.
That would be discriminatory if you ask them to stop doing drugs. You cannot do anything to them.
No, they're not regular people.
This is what you're dealing with. The best thing you can do is what you're doing here tonight, and just get on the phone and start calling your friends and let your council people know that you're not putting up with this.
They said they couldn't. We talked about it on Monday.
What
They
can the
can't do
council people do?
anything.
Well, what the council people can do is just hold their feet to the fire. I mean, there's got to be something
Is it
that
like
they
so
can do.
many police calls, so many this, so many that? Is there any way? Because it's going to happen. We've heard stories about Dana Point, the 5150s, all hours of the night. Lunatic behavior.
There will be
I tell you.
She confirmed. Their website.
Next to a daycare center.
is disabled.
Yeah.
Disabled meaning
Yeah,
drug
and
addicts.
I have to ask myself about that. If you're mentally disabled, and you're to the point where you're chronically homeless as a result of your mental disability, why can't we bring you to a place an hour inland from here and help not one of you, but help many of you?
Yeah.
Why are we choosing the most unaffordable real estate in the country to put these in? I mean, why San Clemente? Why Laguna Beach?
There's got to be some money.
Well, what you're doing here, what you're doing here is all you can. This is all you can. Here's
The gap in market value.
let me.
There's the gap.
Well, let me tell you what's happening here. A year ago, when I started to run, I was told you're out of your mind. You will never win an election by talking about this. And I had friends. I lost friends of mine. I lost people who wouldn't come to my gallery. I got boycotted. What happened in the last year is we are having our own Me Too moment as residents, and people are saying, wait a second, what happened to our rights? Why don't we have rights? So, and now,
Law-abiding citizens.
yeah, so now the public is coming out, and we don't feel like, oh, we're gonna seem like we're not compassionate. No, we are compassionate people, but you're not gonna destroy our neighborhoods. You're not gonna move out our families and